Hey, y'all. Welcome to Sermons on the Side. I'm Brad.
And I'm Richard.
And this is a podcast where we take everyday moments, big or small, and we find the story, the meaning, the sermon tucked inside.
Whether this is your first time or you've been listening all along, we're just glad you're here.
So pull up a chair, hit play on that drive to work, or just hang out with us as we dig into life, faith, and everything in between.
Sermons on the Side, finding meaning in the everyday. Anyway, look, this is, so be it known, the dudes don't need hand lotion at the sink.
Got it.
At the lavatory.
There you go.
So anyway.
There you go. There he goes with that French again.
Yeah, right. I'm telling you, this pinky's out, everyone. This is a highfalutin podcast. You know what I'm saying?
Spell falutin. Yeah. That's how highfalutin we are.
Well, all right. Hey. It is another episode of Sermons on the Side.
Almost April.
Come on.
Here we are.
Man.
The pollen has fallen.
I want you to know the pollen has reached to my very soul.
I saw something that said it was the highest pollen count of all time in the history of Georgia this past Saturday.
I
believe it.
It's reached all the deepest parts of my being.
Richard, how are you, sir?
Man, doing great. Pollen notwithstanding. Always love getting to sit across the table from you and have these Sermons on the Side conversations.
Man, it is so good to be here. Do you hear that? Wait, no, you don't. There is no baby crying. There is no child that needs a diaper change. This is just such a break in the action for me. Thank you for setting up all the equipment, having everything ready to go. What a gift. And I'm so excited to inform everybody.
Come on.
Drum roll, please. Baby number 3 is here.
Ding, ding, ding.
Let's go.
Woo-hoo. I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, your favorite co-host, Brad Williams, did indeed welcome, really, within the last week.
That's right.
You have welcomed your third child.
Baby number 3, Lily Grace. She is here, and Mama and Baby are both doing great. And we are a little sleep deprived, but Nate, nothing can keep us from launching another episode of Sermons on the Side. Welcome.
Yes, indeed. I got to tell you, you made that statement, which it's the first question everybody asks.
Okay.
How's the baby? How's mom? And so you did.
Great.
You said mother and baby doing well. That being said,
Okay.
I just don't think that does justice to how your wife, the great Lisa Williams, just crushed.
I mean,
this,
can we get a standing ovation right now? If you're in your car, pull off the side of the road. Stand ovation.
Stand up and applaud this woman.
Listen, we were talking about this before we went live.
Yep.
And I truly and honestly, any woman that brings life into this world, I don't care how it happened, it is worthy to be celebrated and honored because it is an absolute miracle.
Indeed.
Okay?
Indeed.
This is my opportunity to celebrate my wife, who for the third time has had a child completely naturally, without an epidural, without any pain meds.
What?
I mean, just it's truly and honestly, it is a gift from the Lord, and it is a beautiful moment. It is a high stress, and it is a lot of pain. But my goodness, are there some themes there that's kind of where Becca got her namesake, our firstborn. There may be pain during the night.
Come on.
But joy comes in the morning, baby.
Yes,
Come on.
Indeed. Becca Joy, the oldest of 3.
Yes, Williams party of 5, please.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Hey, and a lot more on that wonderful story coming up today in this episode of Sermons on the Side. So Brad is going to be taking it away very shortly and telling us some of the remarkable backstory of the birth of your third child. But we did want to just pause a moment before we get into the good stuff And we just wanted to say again, thank y'all for listening.
Yeah.
For being a part of the Sermons on the Side community. We are so enjoying this. We have been getting great feedback on many episodes.
Yes.
But in particular, of course, it's our most recent episode that dropped. But that conversation where Jay Bishop got a chance to share his story.
So great.
Didn't it blow us all away?
And I tell you what, we keep getting some great feedback, but that one in particular, there was just there were several people that reached out and just said that his testimony and what the Lord has done in his life over the last several years, and specifically as over the last couple of months. And if you haven't listened to the episode, you got to go listen to it, because it's absolutely incredible what the Lord's doing in his life and his family's life, in the life of the church that he attends, and it's really special.
Great stuff. So thank you again to Jay Bishop, and thank you to all of you. As we said just a moment ago, you keep checking in and chiming in with us and letting us know that the episodes are meaningful to you. We can't thank you enough. Now, we want to do a special recognition for one of our listeners. An episode, really, it was 2 episodes ago. It was the episode about stacking chairs. And in our segment, I told you the story. It was a Get It Together Richard segment. And I told you the embarrassing story of how I've learned to voice text, where you include all the punctuation in your text. You say, you're speaking into your phone. You say, "Hey man, comma," and then ... or exclamation point, or whatever it might be. And then I turned around and caught myself doing that while leaving a voicemail. It was just really pathetic.
Awesome.
And so anyway, one of our listeners from Birmingham, Alabama area, his name is Heath Goodson, great friend of mine. He and his wife, Carice, were in the youth group at the church where I was the youth director.
Whoa!
Back in the 90s. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, the 90s. And so Heath remains a great friend and a real blessing to me and my family. And so Heath left me a video text message. We're going to listen and react to this text message together. This is what Heath had to say.
"Hey man, comma. Dude, you did not leave that on somebody's voicemail."
Yes, I did.
Yeah. All right, well, first of all, I'm going to one-up your speech text and just show you can do video, too, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Cool,
But,
of course.
Cool
next
move.
time you are in Birmingham on your travels for work, whatever you're doing, give me a heads up and let's grab a lunch, a coffee, something. Let's hang out.
Nice, man.
Talk to you later. ... I hope your day's going well. Bye.
Is that not the best?
Oh, that's great.
Heath,
you're the man! Exclamation point! Exclamation point!
That was
exclamation
a triple
point!
exclamation point.
Oh,
But anyway, that was just a lot of fun
That's
to interact
awesome.
over that segment where I did that embarrassing thing.
hey, we want to keep hearing from you. There's an opportunity where if you scroll down into the show notes, there's a send us a text.
That's right.
You can obviously reach out to us on Facebook or Instagram through our social media handles, anything like that. We just want to hear from you, how we can interact, how we can have fun, how we could pray, how we can come alongside you. And or if you want to send us some audio and potentially hear yourself on an upcoming episode,
Yeah,
you know,
it could happen.
Do that at your own risk.
That's true. That's true. We, reserve the right to use your content
That's right.
to either laugh with you or laugh at you. Seriously, though, no, seriously. Thank y'all, and feel free to check in with us. Now, for everyone listening, without further ado, and I don't even normally speak French in public. I think adieu isn't that a French word? I think
I'm gonna go with yes.
Somebody look it
but-
up. Google that. But without any further delay, I want to introduce Brad to you. Seriously, Brad is going to share the part of the backstory to the birth of your third child. So, Brad, thank you for just opening your heart and taking us on a little bit of the journey that you and your wife Lisa have been on over the last 9+ months.
Yeah, this feels like an absolute special time right now because obviously with the birth of baby number 3, it kind of brings to fruition what has been this story over the last 9 months.
Right.
And So before I even dive in, I just want to say how thankful I am to you for even just kind of encouraging me to share this story. And I also want to thank the listeners. It's one thing to be open and to share a testimony. Right. And it's another completely different thing to be open to receiving that testimony. And so I just want to thank you guys for chiming in, for listening in, and to hear part of what is a very long and intertwined story.
Yes.
So if you rewind the clocks back to last June, which actually was the month that you and I started the genesis of what is Sermons on the Side. We started getting together.
Right. I didn't.
And it was July when you and I first recorded our very first episode.
Oh my goodness. I was forgetting that part of the timeline.
And because of this, what I'm about to share with you, we had to push pause for several months. And then we, picked it back up. But if you're like, oh, well, that's why episode 1 sounds so bad, not really, but rewind the clocks back to last June. Was living a very normal life, and I woke up on a Monday morning and I had some swelling and in a not so great area, and so I went to the doctor and I tried to really write it off, and I thought it might be a UTI, and so I offered that as a potential solution before I got an exam because those are just always a little bit too much, and they gave me some antibiotics and sent me on my way, and we had a full June, and it took some of the swelling away, but I wasn't fully right. And so over the course of June, I had a trip that I went on. I came back, and between life and our 2 kids, life is full. But finally, we arrived to July, and I had felt some pain that had been shooting up into my lower abdominal from this area, and it caused me enough concern that I wanted to try again, but actually request a physical exam. And so it was a Thursday morning. I'll never forget it. I walked into my doctor's office and I saw him for the first time. I previously had seen the nurse PA, but this time I asked for my doctor, who he and I've had a long relationship with. I've got a lot of respect for him. And as soon as he was giving me a physical exam, his countenance changed.
Whoa.
Which I don't know if you've ever been in one of those moments with a doctor, but when they change, you change.
That's a moment right there, man.
And he didn't let me leave the doctor's office without getting a ultrasound for that area, and sent me home. And I had a lot more questions than answers. And late that evening, after hours, I received a phone call from this doctor, and he did the
doctor himself.
The doctor himself.
After hours.
Correct.
So that at that moment you're thinking, oh dear, this.
Well, I didn't know if he was just working late or what was going on, but
right.
But yeah, everything kind of slows down for a second, and especially after he's like, "Hey, do you have a second to talk?" It wasn't the movie theater line of like, "Are you sitting down?" But it was a, "Do you have a second to talk?" And you just when it's you never think it's you. And when it is, you just kind of go, what? It just kind of, everything becomes surreal. And he said, we don't know exactly, but we do know that you have a tumor. And we need to fast track you. We're going to get you in front of a urologist. You're going to be getting some CT scans, and you're going to be having questions about surgery, and you're going to be doing all of this within a week. And
that is fast tracking.
Yeah.
I mean, for him to say, we're talking right now.
Yeah. So the very next morning, 8 a.m., I got a phone call and said, "Hey, why aren't you down here getting a CT scan?" So I didn't know about it. My bad. So off I went. And I got a CT scan, and we received the written summarization of those scans that evening before the weekend. We got lined up for some Monday doctor's appointments. But so Thursday, doctor ultrasound, Friday CT scan results, and we've got enough medical professionals in our immediate family alone, certainly even more so with some close family members that I invited into this, and I shared with them the results. And it all but confirmed that we were talking about cancer.
Wow.
And nothing had been directly confirmed yet, but that was the direction that our compass was pointed in. And so Friday night, I'm going to bed. Well, no, I'm not. My wife and I are staying up all night, and
yeah, I guess
it's
so.
a middle.
Right?
It's a mix of scared,
Right.
anxiety, unknown, laughing, and because we're staying up and we're past 30, and we don't want to, we're going to be really missing sleep the next day. But and at about 4 a.m., Lisa, went to the restroom, and I was laying down. I wasn't asleep, but the lights are off. We're just had been talking and whatever, and all of a sudden I noticed that she came out of the bathroom really quick. She left the light on, which I just thought was strange. She walked right up to the side of the bed, and she held up right in my face a positive pregnancy test at 4 a.m. on Saturday morning of the weekend that we found out that I most likely had testicular cancer. And when I tell you,
my word,
we laughed uncontrollably for 60 seconds. I didn't even know what to do.
Laughter was your response.
We didn't, what? What?
Wow.
What? Even now, as I'm talking about it, I'm like, did that actually happen? What?
This is blowing my mind, the sequencing. And I know much of the story, but I honestly had forgotten it was the same night that you guys, as a couple, as the Bible calls you, you're a man and wife, you're one flesh, and you are wrestling through the information nobody ever wants to have to deal with.
Right.
And in the middle of that, God's like, oh, by the way.
I know.
Man.
Right. In the very moment that we found out about, the very night, the very weekend that we found out about this loss,
yes,
is the very weekend we found out about this life. It's the very place where all this was taking place.
right.
God, we said this a couple episodes, and I've really been just kind of camped out on this phrase, is if we trust our story with the greatest storyteller ever, then great stories will be told. And I want to just camp out and say, man, this is a God story. This is a God story. And I'll quickly give you the bullet points of the rest of the cancer story, but the one, there's several verses, but the 2 Corinthians 12, my grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in your weakness. That is a verse that we really have been clinging to, and cling to that night and that weekend. And it's true. It's true. His grace is sufficient for us. And there's whatever part of the story you're in, the beginning, the middle, the end, the climax, the hard, the difficult, the good, the mountain top, the peak, the valley, God's grace is sufficient for us. And that has just remained true. So Monday morning, the urologist, and the urologist says, hey, man, look, here's the deal. The area that it's in, we can't biopsy. The only thing that we can do is surgery to remove the cancer or the big question mark, and then we will do a pathology on the tumor to determine whether it's cancerous. Now the one added curveball we had here was that my CT scan did show that I had some spread. I had some lymph node activity in my left retroperitoneum. Now, if you are in the medical field, you just did a head nod because I said that correctly.
Ooh,
if
impressive.
If you are not, you have no idea what I just said, and just know that it's just kind of in your abdomen area. But it is the area of your lymphatic system that the first area that testicular cancer would spread. And so there was a big question mark looming around this.
Possible.
And so this was mid to late July when all of this took place. Surgery was scheduled for the beginning of August. And I had surgery. The pathology came back, confirmed that it was cancer. And no matter how much you prepare for that moment, there's nothing like.
Are you talking about hearing that word?
Well, the thing was it hit my patient portal first.
Gotcha.
I'm just refreshing that thing like it was Twitter.
Oh, yeah, right.
I'm just like,
Right.
As after
we
surgery,
all
I'm just like checking that thing, and through the gobbledygook of medical words, I finally come down to metastatic disease present or confirmed or whatever it was, and sure enough, we met with an oncologist, and it was testicular cancer, and so the next thing to do was to wait a couple of weeks for recovery from surgery to have another CT scan, and then there were going to be two options. Option one was the CT scan came back, and I still have suspicious lymph node activity in my left retroperitoneum. Okay, if that were to take place, that is evidence of spread, and I would have to go on a very rigid chemotherapy program.
Pretty intensive.
Yep, it's called it was called BEP, blysamine, etoposide, and carboplatin.
Okay, you can't be making up
I
words,
did my research,
Brad.
bro. I did my research.
Stop making
It's
up
just called
words.
BEP chemo. All right? And for anybody that has gone through that, my heart goes out to you. For anybody that's gone through any sort of chemo, my heart goes out to you. But that is especially a very difficult several months. Option two, CT scan comes back 100% clear, and it was simply the lymph nodes reacting to the presence of cancer as opposed to the spread of cancer. So we have the CT scan, and sure enough, by God's grace, man, I have never cried like I cried that day when we got the CT scan results that I was 100% clear with no spread. Wow. Woo!
I remember
get
that
teared
day.
up now.
Yeah, I remember.
And I think I called you that day. And I could not stop calling people and telling people the good news.
Yeah.
Y'all are going to have to bear with me. The last half of this sermon on the side is probably going to be pretty teary.
Yeah. That's okay, man.
100% clear. And and God receives all the glory. And so I did, at the advice of my oncologist and another very dear and very trusted friend who guided me along this journey, who there's some Columbus natives that might know Freeman, but they both encouraged me to take one infusion of what's called cisplatin chemotherapy, and so I did. Just because it was one infusion, I didn't have a lot of the longer term effects, like people that actually go through chemo do. But I went up to the John B. Amos Cancer Center here in Columbus, and I did my one infusion, and then I got to ring the bell, because you get to ring the bell on your last day of chemo. Well, my last day was my first day. And so all these people were like, who's this kid, our head full of hair, ringing the bell, thinking that he's somebody. But it was a beautiful day. It was a beautiful moment, and one that I will certainly never forget. I am now in remission. I'm on a 3-year surveillance, and as quick as this cancer story came, is as quick as it ended.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly, truly and honestly, and this is another area that has been a theme, right? That's kind of come out of a lot of this, but the waiting was absolutely the worst part. If you had told me that weekend when Lisa walked out of the bathroom and had that positive pregnancy test, if you had told me, hey dog, listen, it's going to be cancer, you're going to have surgery, you'll have one shot that kind of stinks, and you'll feel crummy for a week or so afterwards, but then that's it. That's it. That's all you got to worry about. I would have been like, oh,
Sign me up
cool.
for that.
That's it.
Right. Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
But that's not how it works. It's testing, and it's waiting, and it's doctor's appointments, and it's waiting, and it's a lot more of that.
And it's days and weeks of that.
Right. But it really, so the first part of this pregnancy was really about my cancer story. Unfortunately, for Lisa and for all of us. But the second part, the last several months, has been all about the anticipation and the arrival of this beautiful baby girl. And I tell you what, the waiting and the anxiety that came with that first part of pregnancy. There's a verse in there's a couple different versions of it in Matthew 6 and in Luke 12 that just talks about don't be anxious, right? Don't be anxious. What is your life? Don't be worried about what you eat, what you drink, what you wear, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
There's this phrase that says, consider the lilies of the field.
Yeah.
And how I've clothed them and how I, as God, who's sovereign and is mighty, have taken care of even these lilies. How much more will I take care of you? How much more is my grace sufficient for you?
Yes.
And this verse has just meant so much to Lisa and I over the last several months. Wow. And that's really where Lily Grace's name has come from. Is this concept, is this idea of just consider the lilies, and the Lord just telling his people, like, I love you and I will take care of you. And that's not always going to look like the way that you want it to. And some people's stories might not be mine, where cancer came, cancer left.
Yeah.
But God is in control, and he is telling a great story. And his grace is sufficient for us, and his power is made perfect in our weakness.
Come on.
And listen, there are so many twists and turns to this story. I could talk for days, and I could take up the next 5 episodes about it. But that's really what I just wanted to, because this isn't a sermon on the side. This is a sermon buffet. This story right here. This isn't a little like side dish. This is like a punch you in the face kind of thing. Yeah. But man, God is good, and I love the timing of being able to share this story, because it feels like such a finality to this, at least this stretch of the story.
Okay.
Because she's here.
Right.
She's here. We've known that we were going to name this sweet child Lily Grace really ever since the conclusion of my cancer story. And it just emerged out of these passages. And I'm getting weepy thinking about it. But man, God is good. And I'm so grateful to you, and I'm so grateful to our listeners for letting me share this.
Oh, Brad, I can't tell you, man. Thank you. You're so generous with your story and with your heart. I just love how God has carried you and Lisa through these last, we'll call it, 9 months, 10 months.
Yeah.
He literally has carried you.
Yeah.
And he has spoken to you a lot. He did not leave you alone in this. And he walked through this with you and showed y'all so much. Spoke stuff to you.
Yeah. I mean, I could go on. I could tell you about how he has used our pastor at our church. And there's moments where
we're going to shout out to Don.
To Don Butler. There was
now.
moments that he had no idea what we were going through, but we were preaching something directly to my heart. There have been so many people, the community that the Lord has surrounded us, people that are within the city that have gone through testicular cancer that could be a trusted voice in my life, the people that are family or friends that are like family in the medical community that have, the community that God gave us, the friends, the times where I'd call you or be like, dog, I need a Waffle House and I just need to vent, or like whatever it is, and there's several other men in Columbus that are also like that. And there's so many different ways that the Lord has spoken to me and to Lisa.
Our Tuesday night brothers,
Our Tuesday night brothers.
Circled around you because you were...
Prayed over me.
Absolutely. Yeah. And a lot of that, what you just described, and the shout out to all of those folks who are listening, and who you are, that were a part of this support story for Brad, and thereby for Brad and Lisa. A lot of that, I remember those cool moments of support, but I also remember your willingness at every point along the journey to stay open and to stay vulnerable and real and broken and to bring the brokenness. So, and you did me the honor earlier this evening of introducing me to Lily Grace. So I have seen this child, and I got to tell you, she's all that. She is all of that. This kid, and if you follow us on Facebook, you're going to get to see a picture of William's Party of Five.
That's right.
And you'll see all three of the awesome Williams kids. But I think about Lily Grace, and I think about her story as the Lord was knitting her together in Lisa's womb. And he was breathing his and weaving his life and purpose into her. And I wonder about her story. And I wonder about how many times God is going to take the truth of those scriptures that he will clothe, he will feed and clothe, and he will meet the needs, and he will provide for his children, just like he provides for the lilies of the field. And that his grace is going to pursue her whole life. Yeah. And how many people are going to be impacted by that, man? It's a beautiful thing. So thank you for telling the story.
Thank you, man.
Thank you for being generous with your heart and your story. And I think, I hope that we can all take that with us and say, and be reminded of the words of Christ, that to consider how meticulous God is about caring for the lilies of the field, the birds of the air, and that he will do that for us, and that his grace is what we need, and it's all we need. Goodness, man. Thank you so much for that story. And we hope our listeners will engage with us and maybe share some of their stories.
Yeah.
And I know there'll be a wonderful response to you being so open. Thank you, brother.
Thanks, man.
Great stuff.
All right, man. Well, do we have a segment ready?
We do.
We didn't even talk about this beforehand,
right.
So I'm flying blind right now.
Just a real quick thing. And this segment comes up under the category of That's Messed Up.
Okay.
You know how we do.
Oh, yeah.
These things that bother us, and we go,
That's messed up.
Yeah.
That's messed up.
Yeah. So happened to me in went to a restaurant over the weekend with some friends celebrating a birthday. It's a pretty nice restaurant here in Columbus. So
did y'all supersize it?
No. We just did a biggie bag. I said biggie bag. Okay. No.
Yes.
But anyway, this is a nice restaurant. I go to the restroom after the meal. I wash my hands. I'm ready to return to the table. I'm washing my hands. It's this nice restaurant to the point where the sink is all really cool, and it looks nice. A very, very nice mirror and everything. And it's not one of those, crass little automatic soap dispensers hanging on the wall, like for the for the
that was supposed to be the automatic
peasants. Right.
Soap dispenser sound.
It was a great sound effect. No, there's this really nice dispenser there. So I do the dispenser, and I realize that's not soap, that's hand lotion. And then I look to the other side. Oh, there's the soap dispenser. So I try to get all the goop from the hand lotion off, and then I wash my hands. And then but I'm mad now. What is lotion doing in the men's room? You're washing your hands. You know what I'm saying? And I finally I'm just like, in my 60 years of living on this earth, the millions of times that I've stood at a sink washing my hands, never once did I say to myself after I'd washed my hands, you know what I really need
Where's
now?
that daggum hand lotion?
You know what I need is to moisturize right now. I mean, for crying out loud, what is that? That's messed up,
that is
man.
Hey, listen, I'm with you, and that is messed up.
I just don't.
Like if I'm in a spot where I see soap and hand lotion, like hand soap and hand lotion, the hand soap is like 70% gone. The hand lotion has been touched.
It has not been touched.
Has not been touched.
That's not the place for hand lotion.
Agreed.
You ever try to operate a doorknob after you put lotion on your hand? I mean, you can't get, you're trapped. You can't escape the room now. You're sliding off the doorknob. Anyway, look, this is, so be it known, the dudes don't need hand lotion at the sink.
Got it.
At the lavatory.
There you go.
So anyway.
There you go. There he goes with that French again.
Yeah, right. I'm telling you, this pinky's out, everyone. This is a highfalutin podcast. You know what I'm saying?
Spell falutin. Yeah. That's how highfalutin we are.
Yeah.
Spell
But anyway.
PH.
Right.
Folks, thank you so much. We appreciate you. And man, there's going to be, I got a feeling, Richard, there's going to be some milestones set this week. So you guys be on the lookout for some. I just got a feeling. I just got a feeling.
Yeah. Watch the social medias, because we're gonna let you know if it happens. But anyway, thank you guys. We love you, and we will see you next week for the next Sermon on the Side. Thank you for pouring that out, man. That just strikes right at the heart,
I know.
bro.
You know how long that story could be. I tried to do it justice.
No.
I mean,
yeah, you did, bro. You did. That was a beautiful
it's
thing.
all about God.
Mm-hmm.
But
it's a God story. It's a God story. And that child, oh my gosh, you just eat her up. She's awesome.
She's so sweet, dude. She doesn't cry.
She was very
hardly.
chill.
She's
when I was
fine to listen to Becca and Shep run about and just be a. She's like, good gracious, y'all can talk for me.
Just good stuff.